As ever, we find ourselves on a Friday evening ready to do yoga. Last week's class was called the kitchen sink. This is called the kitchen sink 2. And like last week, we're just going to use a bolster. Sorry, a block. It's not a bolster. That's a bolster. That's a block. Don't want anyone to panic. I'm going to sit here for a minute or two. Just lengthen the legs out a little bit. So this will hit the hip flexors. I'm going to press the sitting bones down, roll the shoulders out, get nice and wide, wriggle on the sitting bones a little bit, and then fold the legs in so the thighs come together a little bit. And we're going to flex the toes towards us, lengthen out through the heels. Careful not to press down into the knees. We've got long legs, and we're going to squeeze the toes towards us a little bit. You can give them a little bit of a wriggle if you wish. Up to you whether you have your hands on your thighs or the side of your body. If you've been sitting at a desk all day a little bit crunched up, you might actually find having your hands by the side allows you to get a little bit more lift in this middle region and open up your diaphragm a bit. Just a chance to settle, compose yourself a little bit, become a little bit more conscious about how your body's feeling at this point of the evening. I'm going to slowly draw myself up. I'm going to start with the block towards the back of the mat, and knees high. Roll the spine down, chin towards the chest as ever. Roll the spine down very carefully. I bring the feet in close to the bottom, take the arms out. We shimmy the hips up to the right, let the legs down to the left. Let's see if we can let this bottom leg sink to the floor, top leg kind of stays where it needs to be. It's an easy breath, relaxing the shoulders. Generally, the body is a little bit more mobile at the end of the day than it would be first thing in the morning. So you might find you can rotate further than you could first thing. Now let the knees come back up and shimmy the hips all the way to the opposite side. Let the legs go down on an exhale. And do your best to relax out. Bring the knees back slowly, bring the spine back into the center. Draw the hands interlace around the back of the left thigh and extend the leg towards the sky. On the exhale, slide the right leg out, press out through both heels. Bring the shoulders down, draw your belly to your spine and your spine a little to the floor. And lengthen out through both legs. Bottom leg is still attached to the floor, but kind of hovering a little. And bring everything back in and swap out to the opposite side. Allow the leg to lengthen and slide the heel, the opposite leg as best you can down the center line of the mat. And lengthen out again through both legs. Starting to activate the abdominals and the lower back muscles together, whilst we're stretching out the hamstrings and the calves. And we'll release everything back in. We take the block from behind the head, hold it between the palms, just above the chest, and take the legs out towards the end of the mat. Again, bring the thighs together. Spend a little time just wiggling through the hips, that low spine, close to the floor, the shoulders down. We take a breath, flex the toes towards us as we inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to point the toes away and let the block come all the way to the floor behind us. Without, hopefully, significantly lifting the ribs away from the floor. So we inhale back up, we flex the toes towards us. And on the exhale, we point the toes away and lengthen out through the body and bring the hands to the floor again. So this is actually quite big on the shoulder joints if they're a bit tight. You might find it quite difficult to get your hands all the way to the ground without lifting your ribs high. That's what we're asking you to do. Lean and stretch out. Pull yourself into the ground. Come back, flex, the front of your body contract, and then expand. We'll take one more. At the bottom, lifting the head, just bring the block back underneath the back of the head. Allow the hands come down by the side of your body as you walk your heels in. Allow yourself to come up onto the tippy toes. Hands around the back of your head, elbows out wide. And let the chin come in towards the chest. Now, as you do, draw your lower back flat to the floor. Extend the legs out. We're going to come into half boat eventually. So the legs are straight. And as they start to come down, I'm going to draw the chest a little more towards the thighs and take the hands forwards. And ease the feet down, spread out through the toes a little bit until it feels like your toes are more in line with your eyes. Breathe in and out. You'll get a little bit of a shake and a tremble. Don't worry, that's normal. And we'll slowly lift the legs back up. Hands around the back of the head. Ease the head down onto the block and bring the feet gently back down to the floor, knees high. Take a long breath in and exhale. As you inhale, draw your chin in towards your chest. Lower back into the ground. Bubble to the tippy toes. Extend the legs out again. The hands come forwards and the chest lifts towards the thighs. We'll take the legs down low. And number two. Slowly bring the legs back up. Hands behind the back of the head. To the floor. Let big toes come down to the ground again. Take a nice long breath. And as you exhale, chin towards the chest. Onto the tippy toes, extend your legs out. Take a breath. Your hands forwards, lift your chest a little closer as you land to your legs away. Legs to come high, just behind the back of the head, to the floor, and feet to the ground. We'll move the block just a little out from behind the back of the head. Take the hands up towards the sky. You start to come up on tippy toes, draw your spine to the floor and bring your knees directly above your hips. And extend the legs up towards the sky. And start to alternate the legs and arms. So right arm, left leg. Come down, lengthen out, bring it all back. Cross over to the other side. Inhale on the way up. Exhale on the way down. Try to keep the legs long, stretching out through pointy toes and stretchy fingers. And we'll come down to the last side. Draw the knees in towards the body. Wrap the arms around the shins. The lung. Roll onto your right side. Use your hands to press into the floor. So to come up onto all fours. We'll take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Back into neutral. Spin the feet out to the side. Let ourselves sit down onto the floor. Legs out in front. Scramble around and find the block that was behind us. And again, you want to come into Dandasana. So just wriggle through the sitting bones to get flat. Squeeze the sides together a little bit. Sit up as tall as you can. Take your trusty block between your palms again. On the inhale, lift them up towards the sky, directly above your head. All we've got to do is hold there for a moment. Squeezing the shoulder blades together a little bit. Pressing the sitting bone down. And working through the legs. Almost there, last couple of breaths. Yourself to release the block down to the floor. Just scoot the hands around the back of the thighs and just lift the knees towards you. Allow yourself to lean back just a little. Balancing on the sitting bones. Slowly extend your legs out straight. Now, if your lower back is feeling a little sore, allow yourself to stay like this. Otherwise, you're going to try and lift your chest and push your lower back forwards a little bit, and then release the hands. Bring the hands back again. Bring the feet to the floor. Allow yourself to take your block behind and lift it up. Deposit your bottom on top of the block. And draw your right heel into a groin. Knee out to the side as you square the hips, bend in the front knee. Your hands come onto the shins for Janu Sirsasana. We fold over the hips, belly onto the thighs, then the ribs, then the chest and the collarbones, and finally the head bows down. Pressing a little into the heel, try to have the toes point up to the sky rather than out to the side. Sounds like a small detail, but it's quite important. Use the hands to press into the floor to lift up. Extend one leg out, swap that for one leg in, the opposite side. Just bend in the knees, get some space, roll the shoulders back. Folding over the hips, keep it soft in the lower back. And we allow the middle back to start to bend a little bit. Feel a bit of extra intensity in your leg as you do so. Allow the head to drop gently. Keep the belly drawn in. Work on lengthening your spine along your leg towards your foot. Use the hands into the floor and let ourselves lift up. Now we're just going to bring the opposite heel in, so we're not crossing the ankles, we're coming into heel to the groin. Fingers out in front, we lift up a little bit, and then see if you can fold over the legs and just walk the hands out again, looking for space, and bring yourself as flat to the floor as you can. Your bottom will lift off the ground. Don't worry too much about that. If it stays flat to the floor, that's great. For some of us, we kind of roll over the legs a little bit more in this pose. Now, walking the hands back in, allow yourself to take note of which leg was in front. Put the legs out, bring the first leg back in. Bring the second leg back in again, heel to heel. Fingers over and out towards the front of the mat again. Walking the fingers in towards the body. We'll take the legs back out. We'll shimmy off of the blocks and just have the hands behind to allow the chest to lift and point the toes out. And draw the belly in, lift the hips away from the floor, coming into reverse tabletop. Lift the hips high, keep the chin towards the chest, and press your shoulders and hands down into the floor. And we'll ease our way back down to the ground with our bottoms. Allow ourselves to move the block out to the side, cross the ankles over, draw the heels in and under. Allow ourselves to roll gently back onto all fours and step ourselves into plank. And the hips high and making sure the shoulders are over the wrists. Now push forwards on the toes to bring the shoulders now over the fingertips. And then draw ourselves back, shoulders over wrists. We'll come forwards again and back through. You will start to feel your abdominal muscles working as well as your shoulders. Rolling through the feet, keeping the head in line with the rest of the body, and the body pressing away from the floor. One more. Coming back, well, let's start into a down dog. Just feel the stretch in a different way in the shoulders. And come forwards into the plank. Bring the knees down underneath the hips. And take a little breath as you arrive. Tuck the toes of your right foot underneath and lengthen the leg away. As you press into your left shin, allow the right leg to lift, keep the hips stable. Take the left hand away from the floor, straight out in front. Draw the belly in on the exhale. Lengthen out through the legs on the inhale and the fingertips. Keeping the knee high, we bend the knee foot to the sky, towards the fingers as we take the hands back, coming side on, we find the foot behind. Press the shin away, keeping the knee lifted, looking for some stability through the hips and shoulder. And then we'll release out. Bring the hands to the floor, knees to the floor. Tuck the toes on the opposite side and lengthen out. Press down and lift the foot away from the ground. Inhale the right arm out. Bend your knee. Get the hand back. Open the chest. Press it away. Now we'll release and let everything back out. Bring it to the ground. Tucking the toes underneath. Back into our down dog. Now draw your right knee towards your chest. Bring it through into the plank position. Take yourself back into down dog. And forwards, taking the knee to the elbow. Back into down dog. Knee still in towards the body, we cross over. Tap the opposite elbow. Come back into down dog. Forwards. Back. Out to the elbow. Tricep. Tap. Cross over as you come forwards. And back. Final one. Knee into the chest and through. Into the dog. The tricep. Elbow. And then cross under. Bring your foot to the floor. Draw your left knee in. And forwards into that plank. Back into your dog. Tap the outside of the tricep. Dogs. Crossing under. Tapping elbows. Coming through. Center. To the dog. Tap the tricep. Dog. Cross under. Last set. Knee through the center. Tricep tap. Cross it under. And foot to the floor. And dog. With the hands towards your toes. First forward bend. That's easy. Soften the knees, bring hands under the hips. Inhale on the way up. Shake it out slowly. Walk into the front of the mat. Rise with the feet hip distance apart. Inhale, hands high. Through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Just soften the knees a little bit. Keep the spine long, holding deep. Take a breath at the bottom. Send your right foot to the back of the mat into your lunge. Drop the heel. Ready for warrior two, center line. Hands alongside the body as you lengthen your right arm out. Allow yourselves to lift. Take the arms high on the arrival and spin out towards the front of the mat. Bringing the hands down. We're stepping back into our down dog. So breath in to plank. Exhale into the half plank. Inhale for the up dog. As you exhale to move back into down dog. Inhale the right leg into a scissor. Use an exhale to bring the foot through. Inhale onto the fingertips as you press out of the back foot. Push off the toes as you exhale into your forward bend. Hands onto the hips and we lift. High with the hands. And low through the heart to the floor. Breath. Left leg back. Drop the heel in. Hands alongside. Left arm lifts us up. Inhale high. Spin it to the front. Step it back into dog. Inhale to plank. Half plank exhale. Keep the shoulders back. Lift the chest. Strong legs. Roll it back into down dog. Scissor. Left leg high. In towards the chest and foot through. Decent lunge on the fingertips of breath. And push off the toes as you exhale. Hands on the hips. Let ourselves lift. Inhale high. Hands in the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Take a breath. Right leg to the back of the mat, dropping the heel in. Hands alongside the body, right arm lifts up. Inhale high. Rotate out towards the front of the mat. Stepping back into down dog. And then coming into plank. Roll the feet to the left. Right arm lifts, hips are high. Hands come down to the floor. We roll to the opposite side. Bring hands to the ground. Back into the plank, we roll to the left and stack the feet one on top of the other. Inhale. Hands down to the floor. Plank. Stack it to the opposite side. Bring the hands down to the ground. Into your plank. Over to the left. Top leg comes forward halfway. Inhale high, pressing down through that bottom foot. Hands come to the floor. Step back into the plank. Across the opposite side, bring the foot forward. Open into the twist and lift the hips high. Hands to the floor. Back into plank. Take a little breath. Forward with the right hand, elbow to the ground. Left hand, elbow to the ground. Side plank to the left. Right arm lifts. Back down into the elbow plank. To the right, left arm lifts. Down dog. This is where we're going to move to from there. Take a breath, come forward into plank. Half plank to up dog. Back into dog. There's the right leg. Knee towards the chest and foot through. Use your exhale. Forward and forwards. Hands over the hips and let ourselves lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart and exhale down. Take a breath. Left leg back to lunge. Foot drops in. We open up into our warrior two. Inhale high to the floor. Down dog. Into plank. To the left. Right arm lifts. To the ground. Over to the opposite side. To the floor. To the left, stacking the feet. Bring the hand down. Stack to the right. Bring the hand down. To the left, top foot forwards. Lift the hips high. To the ground. Opposite side. Over to the right. Foot comes forward. We lift, breath in. Hands to the floor. Down dog. Plank. Right arm comes forwards, elbow to the ground. To the left. Feet to the left. Elbow side plank. Back down into the elbow plank. Elbow side plank to the right. Hands to the floor, back into our down dog. Whew. Come forwards into the plank. Half plank. Up dog. Down dog. With the left leg. Into the chest and foot through. Take a little breath. Whew. And step into the front of the mat. Take a little breath. Bring the hands onto the hips. And let ourselves lift. Hands into the heart. 20-second rest. And warm the shoulders up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Stepping back into down dog. Now allow ourselves to lift the right leg to about the height of your hip. Flex through the foot. We come forwards into a plank. The shoulders over the wrists. Bend the knee of the top leg so the foot goes towards the sky. You're going to roll onto the side of your left foot. Bring your foot behind you and allow yourself to open up the chest towards the sky as you could flip dog. We'll come back and try to lift into the scissor dog, and then bring the foot down to the floor. We'll take the opposite leg, side of the hip, come forwards into the plank, bend the knee, roll out to the right, hit the dog, open up the chest. Again, we try to come back into scissor dog and bring the foot to the floor. Take a little breath. Draw the right foot through for lunge. Drop the back heel down. Allow yourself to lift into warrior two. Wiggle out the back foot a little bit further. Those hips should be nice and warmed up. Pressing down through both feet. Hands into the heart, down to the floor, back into down dog. We'll draw left leg through for the lunge, drop the heel in, allow ourselves to lift into our warrior two. Again, just wiggle the back foot a little bit further out, get a little deeper into that front leg. So you want to keep the knee over the ankle, hips here, same distance from the floor, shoulders relaxed. Looking out through the middle finger on the front hand. And behind you, you feel your back foot press down into the floor. Put the hands in towards the heart. Down to the ground. Take a little breath. Step ourselves back into down dog. And walk the hands in towards the feet. And hands onto the hips. Soften the knees and let ourselves lift. Good to come into some balance work, so I'm going to step off of the mat, just give myself a firmer foundation. Tree pose is where we're going to start. So bringing the hands in towards the heart. Feet together, shift the weight into your left leg. And slowly bring your right knee forwards. About the height of your hip. Slowly take the knee out to the side. Reach down, find your ankle. Bring the heel into the top of your groin. All right, so take your arms out into a Y shape. Try and keep the hips square to that front foot. Draw the bent knee behind. Last breath in. Use the exhale to come back. Hands and knees to the center, foot to the floor. Shake out your foot a little bit in your ankle. Focus again. Shift into the right leg. Okay, if we bring the left knee. Take it out to the side. Use your hand to find the ankle and bring the heel into the top of the groin. Right, so to come into that Y shape. Draw the knee behind you. Bring everything back into the center and down again. Shake out the legs again. It's a good evening. I got a slight lack of balance today and sweaty feet. So that's a real good combination for doing balance work. But we'll progress and see where this takes us. We're going to allow ourselves to take the weight into the left leg again. I'm going to draw the right knee. Now this time, as you bring your foot up, we're going to see if we can take the right hand down to find the big toe of the right foot. So you can a little bit. Hook your index finger, middle finger around. Let your left hand come out to the side. And as you stand up straight, see if you can extend your right leg out and press out through the heel. And then we'll release. Bring everything back down. Shake it out. Last side to play with. Hands into the heart. Shift the weight. Left leg comes slowly up. Try not to be in too much of a hurry to catch your foot. Allow yourself to slowly bend into it. Lift the knee high, hand out for that little bit of extra balance, and lengthen the leg out. Press out through the heel a little. And then we can release. Bring that back down. Step back onto the mat. Coming to about the middle of the mat. Let's just come into a forward bend. Take your block. Place that behind your heels. Allow yourself to lift the heels onto the corner edges of the mat, toes out to the side, and we'll sink down into Malasana. I'm going to bring the hands together, in towards the heart. Try and open the chest a little bit. Open the groins by pressing the elbows into the legs. And drawing the tummy muscles in a little bit towards the spine as well. So breath feels a little more chest orientated. It's always tempting to come from this pose into crow pose because it's so close. That's exactly what we're going to do this evening. Bring the palms flat to the floor, about shoulder distance apart. Press the tops of the inner knee into the back of the tops of the shoulders and the arms. Allow yourself to lift forwards gently. So you bring your heels, first of all, away from the ground. Then we'll start to lift the bottom high and get a sense of being able to squeeze those arms and legs together a little bit, making yourselves a little bit of a shelf. Slowly come up onto the tippy toes. And see if you can take one foot away from the floor and then possibly the other. Remember to breathe. And bring the feet back down. Just a little one. Allow ourselves to take the blocks out, bring the hands towards the front of the mat, knees to the floor. So untuck the toes, sit gently back down into child's pose. Use the hands to press into the floor and let ourselves lift up. We take ourselves into tabletop position and threading the needle, we're going to take the right arm up towards the sky. And roll that and throw that underneath. Dropping the shoulder and the edge of the foot. We'll press down into that bottom shoulder and lift top arm up. Taking a breath, we'll begin to wrap the arm around to that front thigh on the opposite side. We'll take the hand high. Bring the hands to the floor and use the exhale to press away. We'll take it to the opposite side. Inhaling up, folding it under and down. Get down through that bottom shoulder. Inhale the top arm up. Use the exhale to roll the hand around. Inhale the hands high. Down to the floor we go. Back to force. We'll drop down onto the elbows. Interlace the hands a little bit. Allow ourselves to come into another elbow plank. And slowly going to let the hips come to the ground, keeping the tension in the belly. And pressing the forearms into the ground. And untuck the toes slowly. Keep that tension in the body. We've moved gently into a modified version of Sphinx pose. We've still got the hands interlaced, the little finger tucked underneath, belly still drawn in, legs are lengthening away. Use the chin down to the floor, letting the elbows out to the side. Wiggle out the hips a little bit. Allow the feet to be as wide as the mat. So just use your toes to kind of find the outside edges of your mat. Wiggle out through the hips a little bit and the shoulders. Now we're going to let the hands come down by the side of the body, palms facing down and chin to the ground. On the inhale, we're going to lift the chest, the hands and the thighs away from the floor. So inhale up. And exhale slowly down. So I'm going to try and marry the movement and the breath together. Just a few more. We'll take the last one. Bring the hands to the bottom of the ribs. Press away from the floor. Use the knees forwards as you swing the feet out to the side, coming onto your bottom. Put the block behind, lift up. Legs out in front, together on the center line. Wriggle through the sitting bones. And then bring your left heel to the outside as the right hip bone. Right leg across, tilt the pelvis forwards. Left arm lifts into a twist to the right side. Untangle. Take it through to the opposite side. And we'll release from there as well. The feet forwards, going to come down towards the ground. Use the block again behind the back of the head, so knees high and hands behind. Use your abs a little bit to help ease you in. Lengthen the spine out. We'll draw the knees gently in towards the body and just take the hands on top of those knees, and then draw the knees towards you gently so you can feel your toe bone kind of lifting away from the ground. And roll the knees out wide. Allow the knees to travel forwards and back into the center line. And then draw the knees in again. So not only are we carefully working through hip joints, but I'm just trying to get a last little bit of flex and extension into that lower back to look after the discs. You've done quite a lot of work. This is the TLC moment. The speed needs to be slow, considered, and conscious for it to benefit the joints and the discs. Take a couple of circles, finally working the other way. And ease the feet to the floor. Use your toes to just walk the feet out to the corner edges of the mat. Allow the hands to come out to the side, palms up. And when the toes run out of being able to actually reach the floor, you gently slide your heels out and let the legs roll open as you close your eyes and soften your jaw. Begin to wriggle those fingers and toes. Let the ankles and wrists join in as we reconnect. Breathe a little deeper. Slowly stretch everything out, just the way you like to. Slide the heels in along the floor until we can bring the knees gently in towards the body for a final soft hug. We'll roll gently onto the right side, taking a couple of breaths here. So the chest down towards the floor. And then on the exhale, use the hands, press away from the ground and lift ourselves slowly back up to sit. Taking an easy posture for you to sit in. Allow yourself to lengthen your spine and bring your hands to your heart. Take a breath in as you close your eyes. Gently exhaling, letting the chin drop first. Feeling the belly drawn to the spine. Allow that simple bow to form in your practice. As the breath comes back into your body, let the spine lift, the head lifts, the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me this Friday evening. Hope to see you on a mat again soon.